Who doesn't need a quick laugh to go along with some food for thought? Hello, I'm Dan Hill, the host of Scrambled Eggs, Tips and Tactics for Tackling Tough Business Problems. Today's guest is Eileen McDargh. She is the author of Burnout to Breakthrough, Building Resilience to Refuel, Recharge, and Reclaim What Matters. She's the CEO, that means the Chief Energy Officer in her case, at the Resiliency Group. So, Eileen, I've given you 5 terms and a diabolical definition for each. They come from my new book, Blah, 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 a snarky guide to office lingo. There's a little joke, a little truth in every joke, and a little joke in every truth, one hopes. Of those 5 options, which one is your favorite? And most importantly, why?
Well, I actually liked all of them, which was really hard. The one I decided to choose, because you hear it a lot, is passion. And the way you defined it 2 ways. You said the impetus one needs to go to work and later to make a career change. And the reason I selected that one is I think what we're seeing right now is people don't want to go back to work necessarily.
Yeah.
And we're seeing people leave. And I think one of the reasons is that under this pandemic, under the COVID, a number of people sat back and said, you know what? This isn't really what I want to do. There's other things that I wish to do. And so they do make a change. And so that's why I thought that passion was really kind of a good word to look at it differently.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. We're in the middle of what someone's called the great resignation. That everybody is, it's as if we're all in a midlife crisis and saying, wait a minute, the pandemic's given us a timeout. It's also introduced a lot of stress to our lives. And now the question is, for the life I have ahead of me, how do I want to live it? So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly true. So we're seeing people start new businesses, where people deciding that they want to, you know what, I don't really know my 3 grandkids. I want to take time off and learn my 3 grandkids because that's more important than what I'm doing here. So it's also a heads up for me for business and what we need to be paying attention to because chances are we weren't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So from your own book, choose a favorite term if you might, and tell us why it's significant.
Well, one of the terms that I like is AFGO, AFGO. It means another friggin' growth opportunity. You can substitute any other kind of F word you like. Friggin'
Sure.
is my word. So
Okay.
AFGO is another friggin' growth opportunity. The reason I chose that is that when stuff, however you define stuff, happens in our lives, we got 2 ways of looking at it. One of it is you can say, oh, this is terrible, horrible, I'll never get out of here. The other one is say, okay, Eileen, this is another friggin' growth opportunity. And what I'm really doing here right now is I'm reframing it to say, how can I take what has happened to me right now and say, okay, like, what's the lesson? In fact, Dan, just before you and I went on, the power went out here.
Okay.
It never goes out here. And I'm thinking, oh my God, AFGO. I'm going to have to use the phone that I don't want to use and going to have to find a different microphone and I'm going to have to put it on some kind of tripod stand so we can talk to each other over my phone because this isn't working. That's an AFGO.
Fair enough. In fact, that's why I started my company. I had one of those moments, actually a relationship that ended, and I said, well, this is very painful. I'm feeling a lot of things. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become an emotions expert. I'm going to understand this feeling and these feelings, and I'm going to be a better person and have a better life as a result of it. So I
That's a
totally
great
love that.
example. That's a great example because you could have stuck your thumb in your mouth and curled up in the corner in a fetal position, and instead you said, okay, this is an opportunity. What am I going to learn here? Which I think what we've been presented now, if we will see it that way.
If we will see it that way. Now, I admit I did take a few evenings where I sat and listened to music instead, but by and large, I tried to move forward and make the most of the.
Hey,
What
we're
I thought,
allowed to, we're allowed to have that transition period with your beer or your glass of wine or whatever.
whatever the case may be.
Move
Yes,
forward.
absolutely. So I want to thank you so much, Eileen. This has been episode number 8 of Scrambled Eggs with your host, Dan Hill, the author of Blah, 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 a snarky guide to office lingo.